priorities, because you may not have a business owner, but think about it. We hire each other. So by them dismantling the program the way that they're dismantling it, and we're not addressing it, it means we're complacent with it. Get everybody, it's public, how it's going to impact your community. We hire each other. It's important we get this information out. I'm pleading. I'm actually going to do a video because it's that important that we don't let them continue to destroy what our ancestors and my parents did for us to even be CEOs. Amen. Amen. So let me go ahead and jump into this. And before that, let's have a little short housekeeping. Again, I'm about collaboration. Put your information in the chat box. Let us know who you are, where you are, your background, because right now we've got to pull everybody's resources together in order for us to succeed. Tomorrow, I am having my free information session. So if you know anyone that could benefit from our program, those of you that have participated, please share this information. And then next week, you all know that I've been pushing everyone towards this mentor protege program based on what they're doing right now. Everybody should be able to apply for this program without any certification. As long as you are registered as a small business in sam.gov, I want you all to begin to identify based on what you've learned through the training of some mentors, leveraging someone else's resources. Miss Braxton's going to come on and share. She was one of the architects of the programs at SBA. So she's going to give us the inside knowledge next week. Again, the cohort will start next. I'm gonna have one more cohort before the end summer, June 29th. Please share the information, and those who are not part of the GPIschool.com community, please get engaged. It is free right now. We're not doing any monthly charge. We're building out. I'm rebranding. And with that being said, I'm so happy to have Miss Rhodes, CEO of Gumbo Gourmet. She's going to share her journey of entrepreneurship and what it's been like. The good, the bad, the ugly. Because for me, we always look at people when they have achieved those goals, but they don't understand what it really takes, the hard work that it takes to get to where you need to get to, the many nights where you are actually losing time and sleep. So Miss Rose, I'd like for you to just start off and just tell us a little bit about your background. Have you always wanted to be a business owner? Just get start from the beginning and bring us to where you are right now. Mhm.
Okay, well, hello everybody. I know she's introduced me. I'm Cassandra Rose, the CEO of the Gumbo Gourmet, but I am the founder and creator of Gumbo Starter Rubes. I am the one and only woman, black woman person who has systematized gumbo. No, I did not want to be a restaurant owner. I had no expectation, no anticipation of it. I have degrees in law for intellectual property law. I have degrees in e-commerce. So I've been a client success manager for the fullness of my career. However, it came a point that I got tired of sitting in boardrooms and the smartest one in the room, but the only Black, so it's so fitting that today is Juneteenth and we are talking about how, the prayers of my ancestors, I am living proof that the prayers of my ancestors reach God. And this is our anniversary t shirt, actually. And we have been in business for 10 years, if you will, from a official standpoint. And of course, you had COVID, etc. But we have beat all odds, even in the past year with the administration change. We managed to get into the cohort. When I met you, Miss Paula, that my business was in deep transition. I had a brick and mortar that we opened. I had this great.
Let go back. You already got to the beginning. I'm trying to see you from Chicago, right?
Oh, you want me to tell these? Oh, you want me to go back? Okay, I was
Yeah,
trying to save them
yeah.
the. I was
No,
trying to
no,
save
no.
them the details. Okay, well, yeah, I'm a Black girl from the South Side of Chicago, born and raised. I am the child of Stephen Lee Johnson and Joseph Hicks, and I am the last child, a baby, of 13, if you will. And so I have always been, in my own lane, doing my own thing, and a cook. I always felt like I was supposed to be cooking. When I was in college, this whole thing about gumbos actually started with people coming over to my house on Sundays when I was living in Chicago. And when I was in college, they would come to my house on Sundays and eat. I would make a different meal every week, but when I made gumbo, I would lay out the crab legs, etc. And so I was just a college kid, literally making gumbo, having my friends over, studying, hanging out, doing the thing. Of course, today they still don't want to pay for the gumbo, but we'll talk about that another day. Either way, I came to Atlanta, and I came to Atlanta back in 2016. That's when I moved to Atlanta,
From
and
Chicago.
from Chicago. Yes,
Okay.
from Chicago.
Hmm.
I moved to Atlanta from Chicago in 2016, and I was living out in Kennesaw. But I established the business and I would start working it as a side hustle because I had a good job. I didn't need to really focus on this gumbo thing. I'm just doing it because it's fun to do, and I can get out and I can hang out on Saturdays at the food truck park. So I went to the food truck park and I was selling my gumbo at the food truck park back in 2016. 2017, 2018, 2019. I was catering different themed events. You had people who had Super Bowl parties. So it was just like a side hustle because I still had my day job. But I know that during that time, I was saving $300 per paycheck every 2 weeks from that time. And I didn't know what I was saving it for.
And what was your day job?
I was a client success manager for a technology company. I actually have an advertising and marketing background. I started my career in 2000 at Burrell Communications Group in Chicago, working on accounts. I was an assistant media planner. And what we did was we put commercials on TV and we placed ads in magazines. So I was the person who sat down and thought about why an ad needed to go in Ebony or in Jet or with the newspaper. I was also across the table from the NNPA, so I have some historical nuggets I could drop. We just don't have enough time. But the NNPA, which was the National Negro Newspaper Association, Publishing Association, I was a part of a group of people who was very instrumental in making sure that Black newspapers were able to stay in business during the late 90s and the early 2000s when we had the digital boom. I was also working on McDonald's, so I was a part of the BMOA, the Black McDonald's Owners and Operators Association, and I sat in a seat that made decisions about how all of those franchises, where they would put $1 million in each, okay, across the country. All right. And I would determine and help determine where ads would go, where the TV ads would go, how we would do radio. I was sitting across the table from the TV ones of the world. That's a whole nother story. Buffalo Soldiers, I was on the team that developed TV One. The TV Ones first, the way that they came out was through Walmart. I was a media planner, a media strategist for Walmart. And they had more budget than we had prominent Black available TV to even run. Okay. And so here I am with $9.2 million. I'm just a young girl from the south side of Chicago. I ain't really making no money, but I got a lot of power. Okay. And so I'm sitting across the table, and here we are, Walmart, like we need some relevant because they didn't want no cussing and they didn't want this, they didn't want that. There was Born TV One. Buffalo Soldiers was the first documentary to come out about and talk about the history of what the who the Buffalo Soldiers were and what they did. So we took that extra money because we only had $6.2 million worth of programming that was possible for Walmart. So what was we gonna do with the rest of the money? We developed a station. So I can tell that story. But if we fast forward, I got a master's degree. I foresaw that technology was going to be the big thing. E-commerce was going to be the big thing. We were going to be selling things online. We had an internet boom. It fell. Something said it's coming back, and when it do, we want to be prepared. So I got a master's degree in e-commerce from Stewart Graduate School of Business in Chicago, which is a part of the Illinois Institute of Technology um, campus. And what it did was it put me in a position to become a data wizard, if you will, where I could do a lot of predicting and data mining and understanding how what we have today as social media and content. I was one of the first people to develop a program that helped to measure what context was, for content, because we don't know. We have a different symbiotic construct as Black people than what you want to call general market, right? General market are white people. Let's just say that, okay? I represent one of 7% of Black people who are in this highly specialized, strategic arena, if you will. And that's where my career lied before I got into food. Okay, that's where my career thrived. That's where I grew from being, and I was at Burrell, I was coveted, I was, in this nice little position. But one day, I went and I got my IP law degree, and I decided I wanted to break out and do something else. And where I was I didn't fit anymore. I had
Mm.
to be bigger. I went to the CEO, and because she allowed me Tuesdays off to go get that degree. And she allowed me to, and I said, what can we do, Faye? And she said, well, we don't have a general counsel. We're not ready for you. She said, go spread your wings, and I'll support you. I said, okay. So I got another job, and I went and I tried to get her to match the salary, but it really wasn't about the salary as much as it was about the impact that I was going to have to make. That job that I took, I interviewed for at 11 in the morning. I had an offer letter at 3. It increased my salary by over 67% immediately. I did that job for 7, 8 years, right? That job relocated me to Atlanta.
Hey, say that history. That history is important because people, and as I'm hearing some of your stories for the first time, it's important because what I'm hearing is how you're able to transfer a lot of what you did through all of those different experiences right now into Gumbo Gourmet. Gumbo Gourmet is just one little piece of the business. It's not necessarily the catering. I want people to be clear of that. And I'm hoping you all are hearing that as well. Can y'all give me a show of hands and seeing and understanding how she's moving at this stage? All right. All right, let's go ahead and jump back into the story, Miss Rose.
Okay. So I moved to Atlanta, and I expected to, be just great at my career and, be even better at it. And, eventually, just this gumbo thing wasn't real. It was just something I did, and I made a couple of dollars. And it wasn't nothing.
Mhm.
But the business mind of it all, like for me, the game of business is so strong. And people think I do it for the gumbo. Yes, the gumbo is good,
Mhm.
but what really gets my goat is the game and how I started. And I'm going to fast forward a little bit, Miss Paula, just because I want to get to the point where, I lost my job, and, I didn't lose it for free. We always got to keep sticky notes, right? Because we always got to document everything. Even as a business owner, you have to document everything. And
Don't
in the
whisper.
government
Speak,
contract,
speak.
you have to document everything on paper,
Mm-hmm.
not online,
Mm-hmm.
on paper. Okay, either way, I ain't walk away from there with nothing. And as I said before, I had a good job. I was saving $300 every 2 weeks with a note for business expenses, and didn't have a business to expense, but I was just saving it. Wasn't looking at it, wasn't touching it, just whatever. Well, this was the last time. And I guess my mama spirit, just hit me like, this is the last time you gonna let them people do you like that. This is the
Mm-hmm.
last time you gonna let them hire you, parade you around, and then 90 days later treat you this
Mm-hmm.
way. This
Mm-hmm.
last time you gonna let that happen. This last time. So
Mm-hmm.
what I decided I was gonna do was I'm gonna create employment for myself. I ain't even gonna worry about it. I'm gonna create employment for myself. I'm gonna see what I gotta do to pop up this gumbo somewhere, and I'm gonna get a restaurant. I got it. I could do it. I'm gonna do it. So I'm gung ho, crazy, gone, just gone. Okay, I go get this location in Emory, and it was supposed to be a pop up, but because I know marketing, I don't know real estate. I made huge mistakes, like really big mistakes. I spent all my money. Either way, I had to fund all of this stuff. And when I
So you had to buy a food truck. I mean, how did you actually start the business? And even being with the food truck, what did all of that take?
I didn't even so I was going to do a food truck, and when I did research, it wasn't a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
because you pay for the food truck, and then you had to go through the licensing, etc., and then you had to pay for a permit. In every place you parked, you needed to have a permit. And
Mm-hmm.
some of those permits would be $100, some would be $250, some would be $2,000. It just depended on where you were, what day of the week, and who was sitting at the desk at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I chose to do, I had a good relationship with the owner of the food truck park down on Howell Mill Road. Back then, that was in 2016. I was going down there. She would let me come. I would have my tent set up and my pots. I had my cooler. I had my shrimp, my crab. Back then, I had crab in the gumbo. It was different. Okay. It was a different situation. And I did all my registration and everything, but I didn't get a food truck. I just tent popped up, and when people would call, I would take my gumbo, go do it. It was just and come on back home. It was offices like where I worked. They would buy my gumbo. So once a month, I would do gumbo Fridays, and I would go around on Tuesdays, take people's order, and I would bring their gumbo in on that Friday. It was like I was just around there, like every day I'm hustling type. You know what I'm saying? Just wasn't that serious. It just wasn't that serious. It was just a thing that I was doing. Even when I moved here, I was working in the office at first, and I was selling gumbo once a month in the office, no problem. Even the boss was buying gumbo, like the people on the spot was buying gumbo. And once that word got around, I had to have help on that gumbo Friday, carrying the gumbo in. So I knew
Mm-hmm.
that I had something special. I knew that it made people feel a certain type of way. I knew that I got a certain ethereal response to it. It wasn't just oh, this is good. It was like oh, this is really good. Like I
Mm-hmm.
could, you know, it don't matter what it is I cook. If I cook it, it's gonna be good. So why not make gumbo? In Chicago, I mean, not in Chicago, here in Atlanta, they got enough wing, hookah, fusion, whatever spots. I can make all of that all day long with my eyes closed. But and other people can too, but they can't make this gumbo. They can't make it, and they can't tell you how to make it. And I'm not gonna tell you because you're gonna come get it from me. So that's kind of the business decision to make gumbo, get serious about it, was that I needed to be in a class by myself because I've always been in a class by myself. And I'm going to continue to be in a class by myself. But sometimes you need enhancements. Sometimes you need access to information. Sometimes you need access to things that'll accelerate where you're going, because I'm not just selling gumbo. right? I'm selling motivation. I'm selling morale. I'm selling grit. I'm selling hope for
Mhm.
tomorrow. I'm paving a way. I'm creating a legacy. But honey, it's come without funding. It's come through relationships that you build over time. And when I got into the government, GovCon, when I met Miss Paula, my business, I had been at my location for 18 months at that point, and my lease ended. I
You
didn't leave.
had a brick and mortar.
Yes, I had a brick and mortar over by Emory.
And
And
what was that process like, just getting signed up as a startup? Was that the
it
hit?
was hard. It was really hard. It was like buying a house. And the thing is, I got kind of tricked. And I say tricked because I didn't read and understand as much as I should have. I made huge mistakes. I should not have gotten into that brick and mortar. I was
Mhm.
excited to do it, but they offered it to me as a pop up, not as, but once I got in there, it was like a bait and switch. Once I got in there, it was like, oh, well, we're going to just give it to you. But you got to get the that, the this, the that, the this, that. And I'm like, what? So here we are $15,000 later, and my name is completely on the, thing, $20,000 later. I done been $60,000 later. I done lost inventory, I done gained inventory, I done did this, I done did that. And the point that you and I met, but I had to deal with that. I dealt
What
with my
was the
mistakes.
challenges having the brick and mortar?
It was overhead. That was the key loss. When my books came, my CPA, it was the overhead, and the loss that I took was equivalent to the rent, literally to almost to the penny. The
Mm.
loss that I took was literally the rent, and the fact that they put me in a location that I wasn't trying to rent. I was just popping up at. I now was responsible for, like, I had to go down to the fire marshal and get a thing for the fire stuff. I had to get the hood and all. I had to do all of these things that
Wow.
a person that's just going into a pop-up wouldn't have to do, right?
Wow.
And so I had to figure it out. And it was just really over the top, but I did. I stayed there and I
Did you
did.
have traffic and employees and
I
how?
had employees, but I did not have traffic. I was getting 1 to 5 customers a day.
Mhm.
And we was across the street from the CDC. The CDC came over. The one lady came over just to show you how God works. And happy Juneteenth, everybody. She was a Black lady. She came over, and me and my husband, we had gotten married right when we opened. We closed for a few weeks to go on our honeymoon, came back. She came back looking for us to give us. She said, y'all need to be at the CDC. Y'all need to be in the food court at CDC. And she gave us the number to our third party partner that we have right now. I can't say who, but it's the third party partnership that we started. So we went from 1 to 5 customers a day to like uh 50 a week to like 75 a week to 100 a week to 200 a week to 500 a week, like
Mhm.
literally. And then by the time I met you, and at that point we were still in the brick and mortar, but I just closed the brick and mortar and just focused on these pop-ups, right? Because we were now going, because CDC, the girl from CDC gave us the information. I called, I went on and did what I had to do to get with that partner who is a government contractor actually.
Mhm. And what
And
are they doing for CDC as a government
they
contractor?
provide all of the food service for CDC, for FAA, for every
Wow.
government agency. I'm not just in the government, the national the national government. I'm in the local governments too. So we're in Justice Center, the government center down at Fulton County. We're at Georgia Power. We're at the utility companies. We're at all of these places, the financial companies, Bank of America.
So how'd you bridge that relationship with that third party, being the subcontractor?
Oh, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
It was because once I took this government, when I met you, I was in transition of coming out of the brick and mortar. I had to give it up. It just, sometimes you got to take, I always believe life is like traffic. Sometimes you got to, take a step back, it's like traffic. Sometimes you got to slow down and switch lanes to get ahead, you know? And I decided to invested the time and the effort into the GovCon program because I was like, this is going to have to change the trajectory of what I'm doing. It's got to be a way that I can apply what I'm doing with this gumbo to something with the government, but I didn't really know the connection yet. between this third party. I didn't learn the connection until after I went through the GovCon program,
Wow.
actually.
Okay.
That's the trip. I that's the trip here, right? Because I didn't understand the terminology. I didn't understand the hierarchy, and I didn't understand what I was even looking at because I'm already in it and don't know that I'm in it. So
Mm.
now once I learned after the GovCon, if I had never gone through the program, I'd still be regular serving 200 people a week. But now we serve at 2,000 a month. Plus I have
Wow.
my catering and on the corporate side, from private corporations and institutions and that kind of thing. It just became a thing of, while I'm not a prime yet, I did position myself even in this changing government environment to be under the radar. Like, I'm not affected by the firings and hirings of agencies and heads of agencies, etc. I take my hot boxes and my wagons in. I put on a t-shirt and pretend like I don't own it, and I serve that gumbo, and people buy it, and I go home. Right? I'm not on the news. I mean, well, I have been on the news, but you understand, for the gumbo. But you get what I'm saying. It's like I'm not on the news for bad things. I'm staying under the radar. I'm operating still. But it was because I understood the terminology, and I talked to my rep, and I was like, yo, I have an EDM, a woman owned small business, economically disadvantaged, and I got a woman owned small business certificate, and I'm in the 8A program, not 8A program. I'm in the I'm a registered, and I'm ready for government contracting. Like, what can you do? So she was like, oh, really? She said, let me call you back. When she called me back, so we would go to the CDC maybe once every 6 weeks. We would go to FAA once every 6 weeks. We go 3 times a month now to FAA,
Mm.
but it's because of the quality of the service. It's because of the
Mm.
quality of what we bring to the table, because they are selective about who they do bring in there. But the idea is that just me understanding, because they weren't going to tell me that this was something that was available to me.
Mm.
So now that they can attach me to what they're doing from a government standpoint with
Mm.
my certifications, I am a preferred vendor
Mm.
who they tripled my send outs to
Mm.
the point now I could be double booked,
Mm.
and I have to call somebody else to come help while they go do that.
Mm.
I'll send Brian and Chef Kevin to a pop up, and me and Lillian will go to another job.
Mm. 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 So, what I just heard, sometimes you have to take 2 steps back to go 5 steps ahead, right?
Mhm.
So, with that type of growth in, again, a matter of a year, y'all, I hope you all are hearing that. How are you able to manage that type of growth and that capacity? What type of stress is that like now?
Well, I created systems. I started hiring people. I started hiring other companies. I started getting help. I started offloading some of the stuff. I'm washing my face twice at one time now. I'm not just rushing to wash it and leave so I can get out of here, because I have help. I have a lot of help.
Mm.
And the help that I have is attached to revenue. It's
Mm.
not just vanity help. You know what I mean? Because some people be like, oh, yeah, I got an assistant. What is your assistant actually doing? Are
Mm.
they attached to, are we looking at opportunities for the government? Is your assistant doing that? Are we looking at sources sought? Are we taking advantage of what's going on with the business? And are we doing business to do business? Because people can get the gumbo and taste it all day. We're confident about that. But are we confident about how we do business? And
Mm.
that's where, we get back to my background in in marketing and advertising and customer client success management and IP, blah, blah, blah. All of that culminates in
Mm.
even the decision to do gumbo over chicken wings, right?
Mhm.
So
And
you have to implement all of those things.
mm. Mm. Mm.
And now we are food manufacturers. We
Boom.
are not just
Mm.
doing catering and pop-ups. We manufacture gumbo starter roux base. where other food service providers can now purchase our gumbo starter roux base.
What
And
can you define that? What exactly is gumbo starter? What do you call it? Rube?
roux base. It is a it's a pound. I didn't even bring because I wasn't expecting to really talk about it, but it's a dry roux base that is already browned, already seasoned, and it is what we have for other businesses is sold in 2 gallons, which is 100 servings. So they get 100 servings for $2 per serving or less, and they can determine what they do with it. So you take 2 cups of the dry roux and a half a cup of oil, and that'll create the roux. You don't even have to heat it up to do it. And then you add your broth, your vegetables, your whatever you want to make for your gumbo to that. And it's shelf stable for 18 months. So it's something that you can have in your pantry. We use it to make gravy. You can use it to fry your chicken with. I use it to dredge oxtails. I use it for frying the shrimp for the po' boys. I use it for everything, just about everything. I thicken my soups and stews with
So
it.
how are you doing this? Is it out of your home? You have a shop? Or how are you actually being able to manage and manufacture the product?
So I work out of Prep Kitchens over here in Southwest Atlanta on Perkerson Road, and so I have a deal with them where I have a DPA, Department of Public Health, and a Department of Agriculture certification, and
Mm,
so that is how I operate with them, and it is a very efficient way because I was able to get the realized 38% keep 38% profit net profit in 2025 as a result of offloading being in a location.
mhm.
Again, they didn't put me out. My lease ended and I didn't renew it. But while my pride was like, oh girl, you're about to, lose my common sense when I sat down and calculated it, it had to override the vanity of it all, right? And
Mhm.
then once I went through the program and understood terminology, and I was like, I've been sitting here the whole time, able to do this, and I ain't know. You know what I mean? And even though you stayed on my butt, I was happy to have somebody hold you accountable. So Miss Paula is gonna hold y'all accountable. Don't fret, don't fret. You'll survive. But it's the idea that just because I did go through the program, I got the certifications, and I was going through the source and salt program, and not program, but a process, and looking for and I was finding things that were relevant, but I wouldn't be able to execute right away without hiring somebody that was able to do it. Meanwhile, we got crazy in office, we trying to navigate that, and I had to think for a second, well, how do I leverage this to my benefit, And now that I understood that I'm already standing under the umbrella of it,
Mhm.
let me
Wow.
magnify who I am in
Wow.
the situation. And
Wow.
so, with my business growing as much as it did, I had to offload things that I wouldn't normally trust people to do.
Wow.
And in so doing, I've been able to be impactful enough to hire other businesses to do work and do good. And I've been blessed that they do good work, great
Mhm.
work. And so much so to the point that I am no longer under a cloud of entrepreneurship. I'm
Mm.
playing the game better.
Mm. You're
Okay.
a true CEO. You're a true CEO right now. And because I was again, we don't talk about those struggles. I was concerned. I was like, you're gonna kill yourself, girl.
She sure did. She told me
You need to slow down. You're gonna kill yourself. And sometimes you need to have real talk with each other. You've got to have that support system around you because sometimes people don't understand what you're going through. Just trying to stay afloat. And look at you now.
But
uh,
yeah, it's true. I couldn't have done it without having gone through the program because, like I say, my pride aside type of thing, I met you at the point when that was actually happening. actively happening. So I was under that cloud. If I could be fully transparent, we got 11 people in the room. I'm sure we family here. I was depressed. Let's call it what it is. But I was functionally depressed.
Mhm.
I was functionally moving through my day. I was functionally productive,
Mhm.
but whole time suppressed in my and under the business because I was working in the business so much that and everything was so up close that I was just fighting for my life every day, you
Yes.
know. And
Yes.
so once you take a step back and see what you actually have at your hands, and then seeing God. I'm not trying to make nobody religious and that kind of thing, but we come from where we understand there is a higher power that guides and
Yes.
moves us through what we do, every day. And so I had to center myself. I had to let go of some things. I
Mhm.
have to trust other people to make some decisions for me, and I have to be okay with it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And let them do the thing that they do. I'll have somebody say, well, how you want me to do such and such and such? Oh, well, you could do it this way, but if it doesn't come out that way, I'm okay with it. Give it to me the way you envision it, because sometimes you need extra you need other people's input. My way is not the only way.
Preach. You preaching here today. You
You
preach.
got to collaborate, and you got to take cues from other people. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like if I'm looking at my third party partner, and you got the mentorship program, who can I find like them?
Mhm.
So now even on re-engaging, if you will, with the government contracting system, I can re-engage from that perspective, a mentorship perspective, mentor, getting a mentor. Now that
Yes.
I have this resume,
Yes.
because we've been doing this for 3 years.
Mhm.
Meaning I've been working with them for 3 years, but it wasn't until a year ago that they was like, oh, you gotta. I was working with them for almost 2 years before I did the GovCon program.
Mm, mm, mm,
Well,
mm.
once I met you and did the program and learned and told them like, yo, they was like, oh, check it. We gonna send you here, 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 here,
Wow.
here, because
Wow.
they can credit that to their situation.
Mm, 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 mm. Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm,
They
mm.
could credit that. Now that they know I'm somebody, they could credit that to that. I didn't know. I didn't know. I
Wow.
wish I had known sooner.
Wow. Wow. I know you had a PowerPoint you wanted to share, but this conversation is just so impactful, so hopeful. And are you all enjoying what she's sharing here? It's the real deal. And people think, again, it's all about the catering and the gumbo, but in the end, I hope y'all hearing it's not about it is what it isn't. Yes, that's her passion, that's what she loved, but it's also the business side, how she has been able to incorporate all that Walmart media training, data mining, the IP, all of that into one business. And this is just the beginning. This is only the beginning of what I see. I hope you all are hearing that. You should be able to share your screen.
Okay, so you want me to do? Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Share window. Let me see if I can make sure
See
it's.
the shares the green little arrow. Anybody
I'm just seeing if it would let me share my. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to do it on the Canva because it won't let me share the
have?
PowerPoint.
We can see it.
Okay, cool. So we said from gumbo to government, talking about just how the GovCon helped us to scale in a shift in market. So who we are. The Gumbo Gourmet, we specialize, like I said, in systematizing gumbo production. You all remember when Beyonce's mom, they shut down her tent or her restaurant, her gumbo restaurant at the Texas rodeo because of a health and safety issue with her
Mhm.
gumbo. Well, I've managed to scale my gumbo, and like I said, we serve at over 2,000 people a month, and we've had zero casualties, zero issues. We have 100, 100. I got 3 consecutive 100 health scores at my location. Today, we offer Gumbo Starter Rule Base, which I told you guys about, the pop up food service program, which is what I use to do the government contracting that I do with FAA and CDC, as well as others. From a corporate catering standpoint, that's for private corporations who might call us in, like Bank of America, State Farm, who wants to do big meetings, or what you want to call employee morale, and institutional food service solutions. So that's another thing that I use do for government contracting. And again, from a specialty standpoint, our tradition is Cajun cooking, and just making it accessible to other people, from the pop-ups to the government affiliated cafeterias. We just want to show up with excellence. Our mission is to make it easy to add authentic, soul satisfying gumbo to food service menus at scale without sacrificing quality, consistency, or flavor or safety. Let's really talk about that. Before GovCon, we were facing some limited institutional access. Like I said, I was with this third party, but had no idea what I didn't have access to anything. There was no procurement language or certification, so I just didn't even understand that I needed it. Even in looking at vendors, at no strategy, because I just didn't understand it, didn't know. And I was positioned as a caterer only. So people saw the Gumbo Gourmet and they just saw, oh, she sells gumbo and po' boys, we really, but once I got into this, some of the outcomes after getting that certification, having that procurement knowledge, people underestimate the power of the knowledge. It's not as much about going in and doing the applications and getting the bid and who I'm going to. I mean, yes, those things are important. But before you get discouraged about the process, before you let it upset you, take the pieces that you can use right now. For me, it was the procurement knowledge and the languaging and how I could apply it to my situation. So that was the conversation that I had with my rep, who said, okay, I now know that you know this, that what I know too, let me go back and do this thing for you. So I strategically positioned myself. I stopped thinking like a catering company and I started thinking and leading with my capabilities and building capacity to take on the jobs that will come as a result of the demonstration of those capabilities. And that was the shift that changed how the institution saw me. And that's where I tell my admin all the time, we have to prepare because it's coming. We might not know that see it now. I said, but I have evidence. I have evidence. The past 2 weeks, I turned down a data center job, the craziest thing on earth. But the contracts that I got 2 contracts in a row, literally right behind that, because I made a strategic decision that I was not going to you don't have to accept anything just because you think you're struggling. You're really not struggling as much as you think you are. I was able to build a growth trajectory. So now, coming from a cohort to certification to institutional access, I'm positioned to be scalable. I've built repeatable systems and I have been a repeat vendor for government and institutional companies. And I am poised for growth. I can almost tell you I'm already scheduled out. I'm not even almost telling you I'm scheduled out. I can look at my calendar right now. I'm already scheduled out to the end of July, literally booked through the end of July. And that's not just and that's with government jobs and institutional jobs. That's not even peppering in the private corporations who I meet on these government jobs that need someone who does what we do. And it ain't even about the food as much as it is Brian saying, hi, welcome to the Gumbo Gourmet. How can we help you? Literally sells so many things. It gets cards exchanged. It gets questions asked that lead to contracts. So don't box yourself into feeling like, hey, I'm going into GovCon, in GovCon, and I don't know if I'm getting what I need because it's so much information. Take the information. Take the information. Go through the program. Go through the information. But I promise you, reposition yourself based on it. We got expanded institutional access. We got government placements. and I got a certification advantage. So these are just some of the things, when we talk about real business impact. And in those, these are things that are attached to revenue. It's not just about knowledgeability or, somebody can see me now and I got more likes. I don't have as many likes on social media as I do contracts. So I really ain't concerned as much as I am about scaling through systems.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got the root base, we got standardized production, and we have given faster service and consistent quality because when my client gets a new client, they send us out first. We're in the first group of people to go out to service these new clients because of these four things right here. Because of these four things right here. And the impact since completing the core heart, we have expanded recurring institutional placement. I know I said this, but I'm just summing it up. Achieved our certification and built a food service system capable of supporting more than 2,000 servings per month. Thank you. You guys can scan this LinkedIn code and reach me. My phone number, email, and website is here so you can see exactly what the outcome is. And feel free to reach out, ask any questions you might have. I'm happy to help wherever I can.
Look at that. Look at this. And I can see it on your face. It just seems so relaxed. Last year during the cohort, I can see stress on you. I can see. And I was praying for you that you got over that hurdle. Does anybody have any questions? You can stop sharing.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions? Uh, or what are some takeaways? I'm always about what's the takeaways.
Sure.
Nobody? You can unmute.
Yeah,
Good
hey, Sam.
afternoon, everyone. Happy Juneteenth. This is Katina Norman. I don't have any questions. I am just so inspired by this conversation. I'm kind of speechless. I've known Cassandra for a while and I learned some gems today. And I'm like, yo, I didn't even know all of that. So this was great. So I'm in the cohort and I'm just ready to hit the ground running as soon as I graduate, but definitely looking forward to continuing our relationships. And this was great. I'm just really happy. Happy Juneteenth again.
Thank you. Happy Juneteenth, Pamela.
I just want to say thank you. I say all the time that the gift of this class is the nuance. And I want to thank Chef for being so generous in her comments because you don't have to share everything. And I'm so appreciative when people do. So thank you to you and thank you to Paula for the nuance. Even if you think you know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing until she teaches you. So thank you so much to both of you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, can I get two takeaways?
Yeah,
Um,
can I share something?
yes.
Great job, Chef, and great job, Paula, for having this session. I'm glad I could be here. I've watched Chef Rhodes in action, at the different pop-ups and different events. So, and I can say that she inspires me to do things beyond what I sometimes lull myself into believing I can do. And I come from a family-owned business where, again, they just make it work, they hustle. But to see what she's talking about and how she's taking that to a different level to sustain it for generational impact, I think that's the most important thing that I've taken away from this. And again, we've talked on a couple of occasions, but today I'm like, I got the full resume. And so I would just say that, you know, you got to think bigger than you are. God has more for you than we probably realize, but we are scared to let ourselves go into it. I think you let yourself go into it and you're showing us that it's possible. So thank you.
hmm And it's okay to take two steps back to go forward. Um, and it's the difference between why people go to Chick-fil-A, right? As opposed to McDonald's. Chick-fil-A have a system in place. Even during COVID, it was a system in place. And so part of what you're learning, even from my program, is that make sure you have a business model that's going to be sustainable, but more importantly, have the systems in place to sustain the business, regardless of what the product or service is, right? She's selling Gumbo Gourmet, but I hope you are hearing that she's not really selling Gumbo Gourmet. Did you all hear that from her? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, make sure you all click on that link. There's a template for the 8A program. Right now, they really are trying to wipe out our community, and I refuse to go down with the fight. Your parents, my parents, um, they fought too hard for us to even become a CEO. So make sure that you let our voices be heard. It's not only for business owners, it's going to be for individuals because we are the ones that typically hire our people. We hire with our community. Um, Cassandra, how many jobs have you provided since this growth? Think of the numbers. What,
Well,
hmm?
an additional, well, I can say I've hired 3 other companies to work for me, and they have people, I'm sure, that
Where?
work with them. But so I have 7 people in all. At the time that I started this, there were 3 of us and one coming in and out, so to speak. But yeah, we have a solid 7. No, actually, it's 8 people now. Yeah, it's 8 people now. 2 of those people are on this call, actually, which is really funny. But yeah, yeah. So we have 8 people now that work in the whole infrastructure of the company, not including myself.
And those 3 companies that you hire, they're employing people. Think
Hmm.
of the domino effect. We've got to take this back. We got to take it back.
Hmm.
They eliminated, think about that, 300 jobs. They cut our middle class. And that's what they're trying to do with this 8A program. That's why you had the most wealth up in DC, because everybody was getting those non-competitive contracts. And that's what the benefit of that program for 9 years. I was able to walk in these agencies. They were awarding me $4 million contracts, just like that. But I was trained. So I am so, so proud of you, Cassandra. I appreciate you taking your Friday out and sharing your journey. And your journey is what impacts others. And part of my creed was what? Once we get in the game, we've got to come back
Yes.
and share, reach back.
Hmm.
Our community, we tend to hold that knowledge. I got my success. You
Hmm.
got you got to figure out how you're going to get yours. In this game, in government contracts, everything she said was relationship. It was partnership. It was collaboration. She's leveraged every piece of it to advance her business. And next thing we gonna know, uh, regardless, we've been in Walmart and all them corporations, but we're gonna use them for our benefit because I want to see that seasoning on them shelves, right? That's
Hmm.
where the money is going to come. And as I tell everyone else, keep your eyes on the prize. Don't give up. It's hard work, yes, but you put the hard work up front, on the end, it's running itself. It's going to begin to run itself. You're not as much hands on. You got to
No.
take your hands out of the business sometime. Release that control, everyone.
Thank you for having me, Miss Paula. This was amazing. You guys are amazing. I'm
I
always.
love it. All right, everyone. Y'all have a happy Juneteenth. Go out there and make our ancestors proud today. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.